The doctrine of checks and balances is a natural concomitant, or it's a natural appendage or supplement to the theory of separation of powers. What does this doctrine says? It says that the three wings of the government, it means the legislature, executive and the judiciary, each wing will be kept in its limitation by the other two wings. Do you get it? It means the executive will check the legislature and the judiciary. The legislature will check the executive and the judiciary. The judiciary will check the executive and the legislature, so that the balance of power between the three organs could be maintained. ध्यान से समझो मैंने क्या कहा. मैंने कहा कि in doctrine of checks and balances, the two organs of the government will check the other organ, or every organ will check the other two organs, so that all the organs remain within their constitutional limitation and does not surpass it, so that the balance of power between the three organs could be maintained and theory of separation of powers remain active in the country. ठीक है, ऐसे सोच कर how the legislature checks the executive and the judiciary, ये समझने की कोशिश करें. The legislature holds the executive responsible for its actions by asking questions. Do you understand that? In the parliament, अगर executive ने कुछ ऐसा किया है जो एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल है या अपने पावर्स के अलावा कोई दूसरे पावर्स में जाकर कोई काम किया है, तो पार्लियामेंट में आंसर करना पड़ेगा मिनिस्टर. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? एंड इफ द voting is against the government, then the government will lose. Do you understand that? The support of the parliament, and thus the executive will be always in check. कि कुछ ऐसा ना करूं जिससे मेरे अगेंस्ट नो कॉन्फिडेंस हो जाए. कहाँ? पार्लियामेंट में. Do you get it? That's the legislature's check on the executive. Is that thing clear? Okay. Similarly, the judges. Suppose the judges gives the decisions not on the basis of the constitution and its provisions and the laws of the land, but on the basis of their subjective satisfaction and on the basis of their randomness, then such judges will be impeached by the legislature. Do you understand that? Impeachment proceedings आएगी और जज को हटा दिया जाएगा उनकी कुर्सी से. So इसलिए judges भी हमेशा check में रहेंगे. Do you get it? Similarly, let's think how executive checks the legislature and the judiciary. When the parliament will be summoned, when the parliament will be prorogued, when the house will be dissolved, all of this is in the hands of the executive. Summoned मतलब कब लोकसभा और राज्यसभा की सिटिंग्स होंगी, कौन से सेशन में क्या डिस्कस होगा, all of that is decided mostly by the government. Do you understand that? The government is also known as the treasury benches in the parliament. The other is known as the opposition benches. Do you understand that? Opposition का काम क्या है? Government से question करना, और government का काम क्या है? Public policy को implement करना after discussion in the parliament. Do you understand that? So the executive can keep the legislature in check by that way. Do you understand that? समझ लो, government enjoys support in the Lok Sabha, yet the Lok Sabha is such that the other members are not allowing the government to function, then the government can dissolve the Lok Sabha. Do you get it? So that's a check on the legislature. Similarly, the judges of the Supreme Court, they are appointed and removed by the president. Obviously, they are appointed in consultation with the Chief Justice of India and removed after an adverse vote in the parliament. So executive has a kind of control over the judiciary as well. और ये तो जग जाहिर है कि how judiciary can check the executive and the legislature. If the government or the executive does something which is not for it to do or falls outside its jurisdiction, then the judiciary will pull up the officers, even the ministers, to the court, asking them questions that why did you do so, or they fail to do something, then there is judicial activism. बोलते हैं सरकार, आपने देखा कोर्ट से ऑर्डर रिलीज होता है कि IAS ऑफिसर के लिए आप करो ये काम. Do you get it? If you haven't done, that's a check by the judiciary. Similarly, if a law is made by the parliament which takes away the fundamental rights or breaks the basic structure of the constitution, then the judiciary will declare such a law as null and void. It will strike down the law. So the judiciary checks the executive and the legislature. The executive checks the legislature and the judiciary, and the legislature checks the executive and the judiciary. Do you understand that? So legislature checking the other two, executive checking the other two, judiciary checking the other two, each organ checking the other two, so that the balance of power between the organs is maintained and one organ does not become too much powerful, so that it again leads to concentration of power in one institution. Do you understand that? That's why theory of separation of powers के साथ साथ आप ये समझ लो doctrine of checks and balances comes as a natural concomitant.